In Hollywood, we usually see the finished story, the fame, the success, the red carpet moments. And when people look at Tom Hardy, they see strength, they see Bane, they see Mad Max, they see one of the toughest actors of his generation. But behind the fame, behind the muscles, and behind the unforgettable movie characters, there was a man fighting a battle no one could see, a battle against himself. Long before becoming a Hollywood superstar, Tom Hardy was struggling with addiction, drugs, alcohol, self destruction. At one point, his life was spinning completely out of control. Many people never recover from that kind of darkness. Many never get a second chance, but Tom Hardy did. And what happened next changed everything. This is not just the story of an actor, it's the story of survival, discipline, redemption, and the mindset that transformed a broken young man into one of Hollywood's most respected stars. Today on World Show, we uncover the dark secret behind Tom Hardy's success. Success can hide many secrets, and for years, Tom Hardy hid one of the darkest chapters of his life. On the surface, he seemed like a young man with endless potential. He grew up in East Sheen, London, in a creative and supportive family. But inside, something felt missing. Tom later admitted that even as a child, he often felt disconnected, like he didn't truly belong anywhere. And as the years passed, that feeling grew stronger. By the time he was a teenager, he had already begun experimenting with drugs. What started as curiosity slowly became dependency, and dependency eventually became addiction. His life was spiraling out of control. Bad decisions became normal, risk became exciting, and self destruction became a habit. At one point, Tom found himself involved in serious legal trouble while under the influence of drugs. The future that once looked so promising was starting to disappear. Then came the moment that changed everything. A moment when he could no longer hide from reality. No excuses, no lies, no pretending, just the truth. Tom later spoke openly about how addiction had taken complete control of his life. He realized that talent alone could not save him, dreams could not save him, fame could not save him. The only way forward was to confront the problem directly. And that required something harder than any movie role he would ever play: honesty, brutal honesty. In 2003, Tom Hardy made a life changing decision. He entered rehabilitation, not because he wanted a better career, but because he wanted a chance to survive. That decision became the foundation of everything that followed. And perhaps the most powerful lesson from this chapter of his life is simple: you cannot change what you refuse to face. The moment Tom stopped running from his problems, his real transformation began. For many people, pain becomes a prison, a place they never escape. But Tom Hardy made a different choice. Instead of running from his past, he decided to use it. Every mistake, every failure, every painful memory became fuel. After getting sober, Tom faced a new challenge: learning how to live without the thing he once depended on. And that wasn't easy, because addiction leaves scars, not only on the body but on the mind. The anger, the fear, the self doubt, none of it simply disappears. But Tom discovered something powerful: pain can destroy you or it can transform you. The choice is yours. And for Tom, that transformation happened through his work. When audiences watched him in films like Bronson, Warrior, or The Dark Knight Rises, they saw intensity, they saw raw emotion, they saw commitment. But behind those performances was something deeper: a man channeling his struggles into purpose, a man turning chaos into discipline. Tom once explained that many of the characters he plays are fighting battles within themselves. And perhaps that's why those performances feel so real, because he understands that struggle personally. His greatest strength wasn't avoiding pain, it was learning how to carry it. And that brings us to another lesson from Tom Hardy's journey. Your scars are not proof that you're weak, they are proof that you survived. The experiences that almost break you can also become the foundation of your future. When guided by discipline, pain becomes power, and power becomes progress. Recovery is not a finish line, it's a daily commitment, every single day. Tom Hardy understands that better than most. Getting sober was only the beginning. The real challenge was staying sober, year after year, choice after choice, because success alone cannot keep a person grounded. Without discipline, old habits can always return. That's why Tom built a life around structure, routine, purpose, and constant self improvement. One of the most important parts of that journey became Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. While many celebrities spend their free time chasing attention, Tom chose something different. He chose mastery, training, learning, competing, not for fame, not for headlines, but for personal growth. In recent years, Tom surprised many people by competing in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu tournaments, not as a movie star, not as a celebrity, but simply as another student on the mat. And that's what makes the story so powerful. Because real confidence doesn't come from applause, it comes from knowing who you are when nobody is watching. Tom understands that discipline is freedom. Every training session, every challenge, every uncomfortable moment strengthens the mind and strengthens the character. His journey teaches us an important lesson. Success is not built during moments of motivation. Success is built through consistency. The small choices, the daily habits, the actions repeated over time. Because greatness is rarely one big decision, it's thousands of small decisions made correctly, day after day, year after year. After everything Tom Hardy has been through, there is one thing that stands out: his humility. You would expect someone with his success, his fame, and his achievements to have a massive ego, but that's not what people see. In interviews, Tom often appears surprisingly honest, sometimes awkward, sometimes unpredictable, but always authentic. And perhaps that's because he never forgot where he came from. He never forgot how close he came to losing everything. When you've stood at the edge of destruction, success looks different. Fame becomes less important. Attention becomes less important. What truly matters begins to change. For Tom, it's not about being the biggest star in Hollywood. It's about doing meaningful work, being present for his family, and continuing to grow as a person. That mindset may be one of the biggest reasons for his success, because the moment someone believes they have nothing left to learn, they stop growing. Tom never stopped learning, never stopped improving, never stopped challenging himself, and that's where his real strength comes from. Not from muscles, not from movie roles, not from fame, but from self awareness, from understanding his weaknesses and refusing to let them control him. In today's world, many people chase validation, likes, followers, approval from strangers. But Tom Hardy's journey reminds us of something important. The opinion that matters most is the one you have about yourself. When nobody is watching, when nobody is applauding, when nobody is cheering your name, character is what remains, and character is built through the choices you make every day. Tom Hardy survived his darkest years, not because he was fearless, but because he was willing to face his fears, and in doing so, he became stronger than he ever imagined. Tom Hardy's story is not really about Hollywood, it's not about fame, and it's not about becoming a movie star. At its core, it's a story about transformation, a story about a man who reached his lowest point and refused to stay there. There was a time when Tom Hardy was losing control of his life, a time when addiction seemed stronger than his future, a time when everything could have ended differently. But he made a choice to fight back, a choice to take responsibility, a choice to rebuild himself one day at a time. And that's what makes his journey so powerful. Because every person faces struggles, every person faces fear, every person carries scars that others cannot see. The difference is what we choose to do with them. Tom Hardy turned his pain into purpose, his weaknesses into strength, and his darkest chapter into the foundation of his success. His story reminds us that failure does not define who you are. Your response to failure does. No matter where you are in life today, no matter how many mistakes you've made, your next chapter has not been written yet, and sometimes the strongest people are not the ones who never fall. They're the ones who find the courage to stand up again and again and again. That is the real lesson behind Tom Hardy's success. If Tom Hardy's story inspired you, tell us in the comments which lesson stayed with you the most. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the World Show community for more incredible stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.